I'm Genevieve Taylor and this is Bristol Fire School. So today I'm going to show you my very favourite way of lighting a fire, the top down fire. I just love it. So I think lighting the fire is one of my favourite parts of cooking with fire, but I want a fire that more or less looks after itself, and that's where the top down fire comes into its own. I always split down my logs. They're too big generally to cook with. Big logs are going to take longer to catch. They're going to give you a long burn. They can also slow the combustion down. With a top down fire, you basically build a Jenga stack. So I've got bigger logs along the bottom, then another layer perpendicular, then a smaller layer on the top, and finally finishing it with kindling. A single fire lighter. I like these natural fire lighters, which are just wood shavings dipped in wax. Let it burn and watch it do its beautiful thing. So I generally work in about a sort of 3-layer fire, but there's no reason why, if you wanted to show off, you couldn't build this tower kind of 2 meters high. It would still work. It would absolutely still work. But in a practical cooking sense, this is enough fire to get going with. So this is kiln-dried ash I'm using here. I always use kiln-dried British hardwoods for my cooking fires. I love ash because I like the way it burns. It catches and combusts real quick. And for me, kiln-dried is worth the extra money because we get through a lot of wood here at Fire School, and I don't have a lot of storage space to season logs properly for years. So for me, kiln dried is the way forward. The thing about damp wood is it's always going to give you a dirtier, more frustrating fire to work with. Dry wood burns cleaner and it burns hotter, and the whole thing is just more fun. So a good fire needs airflow. So I have nice air gaps flowing all the way through here that are gonna just allow the air to kind of burn and flow around. This is a very low maintenance way to light a fire, and that is why I love it. So how does a top down fire work? You might feel like it's some kind of witchcraft lighting a fire from the top, when the more normal way is to light it from the bottom and then build with bigger and bigger and bigger logs. It's not witchcraft. So what happens is the fire lighter creates the spark that will ignite the kindling, and the embers from the kindling are going to drop down and light the next layer. And the embers from that layer will drop down and light the next layer, etc, etc, etc. And it just moves from the top to the bottom in the most efficient and beautiful way. I mean, look at that fire, it's just so mesmerising. Perhaps the hardest thing with fire is not interfering, but this is a very hands-off way of lighting a fire. It's just going to feed itself from the top to the bottom, which means, in cooking terms, this is when I head into my kitchen, I do all my prep and my chopping, I line up all my ingredients to cook with. And for me, that is what makes fire cooking more enjoyable. So when I'm here cooking with the fire, I can kind of get into a sort of flow state in, cooking, and I'm not thinking, I've forgotten this and I've forgotten that. So it's a very hands-off way to light a fire. And in practical terms, I love that. And it's just so beautiful and satisfying to watch it. How do you know when to cook on this fire? So it's worth pointing out that actually naked flame, this roaring flame, is not a great heat for cooking on. The flame will give you kind of a sooty heat. So what we want to do is burn this down to a bed of embers. How long is that going to take? It kind of depends on the day. Every fire I light is a little bit different. So if it's a windy day, it's going to burn quicker, more oxygen. Oxygen is critical to fire lighting. I'm going to refer you back to my fire fundamentals film on what is fire. But oxygen is critical. So if we've got more oxygen because it's more windy, this is going to burn down to embers quicker. If it was a very still day, it would take a little bit longer. So it's not about time, it's about waiting until it's ready. This is burning super good and super fast today because it's quite breezy. So I'm waiting for this stack to have burned down to almost exclusively embers. Then I can start cooking on it. That said, if I had something in a pan, like toasting spices, like frying eggs in a skillet, like, making a sauce, making a chilli, making a braise, making a curry, something contained within a pan, there's absolutely no reason why you can't use this heat that you've created, this building heat. But for anything where the food is in contact with the fire, so grilling, we want to wait until we've got a nice bed of embers. And we're getting there, and it's very hot, my arm is burning. A good fire is mostly about the preparation. So good logs, split down, stacked and arranged properly to allow the air flow to flow, and then lit, and then pretty much left, Fires do not like being mucked and fiddled and poked and prodded, as addictive as it is to kind of poke around in a fire. Actually, what they want to do is be left alone. When it comes to feeding this fire, if you're cooking over a longish period, the biggest advice I can give you is do not try to feed it big logs. So as a rule of thumb, I like to use logs that are kind of about the size of my forearm. So something like this is perfect. If I was to put a big log on that, what's going to happen? The combustion process would slow down, become less efficient. It would drop. Then, naturally, I might panic a little bit and chuck on a couple more big logs because I thought I'd put my fire out. Then what's going to happen? Before you know it, you're going to have like flames back up to here, and it will be too hot to cook on, and you get in this kind of cycle of too cool, too hot. Actually, what you want with a cooking fire is to get your temperature somewhere steady and even and calm, and kind of try your best to keep it there. It's way better to add a smaller log more often. So 3 of these spaced out over an hour is way better than one big one once an hour. It's just going to keep your temperature even. The fire is going to be less frustrating to cook on. Even with small logs, when you add wood to a fire, it can sulk and smoke. So let me introduce you to one of my favourite fire gadgets, my €1 fan that I bought in a Portuguese supermarket years ago. Sometimes you just need to give your fire just a little puff of oxygen to get it back going again. So something you can just flap and bring it back to life by giving it a little injection of oxygen is a really useful little tool. Worked a treat. So this is how I light a fire for cooking, the top down fire. And it's not the only way to light a fire by any means, but it's definitely 100% my favourite way to light a fire. It keeps me in control, it keeps me calm, it allows me time and space to think about the cooking that I've got to do, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch.